الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. We express our praise and gratitude to Allah Ta'ala, and we seek blessings upon the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So we're continuing our exploration through Surah Al-Baqarah, and once again, just to repeat a few points from what we've covered so far. We've covered quite a bit, mashallah. So our starting point was the understanding that we look at everything all around us, everything within us, as ayat of Allah. Okay. And that we love Allah more than anyone loves whatever it is they take as an ilah. Okay. And then from there, we spoke about everything that we take in, not just food, anything our eyes take in, anything our ears take in. The instruction is do not follow the footsteps of shaitan, and before that eat what is, or consume what is lawful and tayyib, what is halal and tayyib, so what is legal and wholesome. And then from there we specifically spoke about food. Then after that we spoke about birr, righteousness. And we said that righteousness has these three parts. One is that you believe in Allah and the last day and the angels and the books and the messengers. The second part is that you spend out of your wealth to such and such people. And the third part is the acts of discipline, the acts of sabr, which includes salah, zakah, and persevering through whatever Allah hits you. And then from there we talked about crime and punishment. Okay. And then after that we talk about making inheritance. Okay. So the whole life cycle. And last time we spoke about fasting in Ramadan and fasting prior to Ramadan. So today we're finishing the discussion on fasting. And also we also spoke, about dua. Right? This very, very important ayah that we often overlook. وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. So when my servant asks about me, I am near. Okay. Now this is also introducing a new type of section in this surah, where over the next few ayahs, we're going to have quite a few questions that the Sahaba would ask the Prophet, peace be upon him, questions. Sometimes he would answer directly. Sometimes Allah Ta'ala would answer. They ask you about this is the answer. They ask you about this is the answer. So here, when my servants ask about me, I am near. And then we spoke quite a bit about dua in that class. And so now, finishing the conversation on fasting, some of our discussions today and next week, or next class, and after that will be very fiqhi matters. So I'm not going to go into too much detail. Just briefly, because we should have a whole separate conversation on Ramadan, a separate conversation on Hajj and such. But essentially, permitted to you on the night of the fast is approach to your wives. It says nisaikum, and then hunna libasul lakum wa antum libas lahunna. Okay, so what was the issue here? That at the time of the Prophet, peace be upon him, there were some people who they would go to sleep, and for them, they would decide that's when your fast would begin. Okay. Not necessarily at suhoor. They would go to sleep early. Let's say suhoor is at 4 o'clock. They would go to sleep at 11 p.m. And they would begin their fast from that moment. And then they'd have to fast an even longer day. And they would do other things that were wrong. And so they were told that, okay, what you're doing is wrong, and here is the basic instructions. All of you already know this, that the fast is during the daytime. During the nighttime, you go back to essentially your normal life. But what does this ayah mean, or this portion of the ayah mean? Hunna libasul lakum. So they are your libas, they are your clothing. Libasul lakum. Wa antum libasul lahunna. And you are their clothing. What does this mean? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah? You're protectors of each other. You're very close. You're covering each other's shortcoming. What else? Okay. You're hiding each other. Yeah. What else? So clothing also provides comfort. It provides security. What else? And your spouse also beautifies you. Right? that always comes last in these classes, right? Right? That your spouse also beautifies you, you beautify your spouse. That's what your clothing does, right? Your clothing also beautifies you, you beautify your clothing. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly, yeah. Look at I can see the disapproval there. Yeah. Okay. In your defense, she didn't say it either. Okay. So then Allah knows what you used to do secretly amongst yourselves, but He turned to you and He forgave you. Oh, Auntie's back. Okay. Okay. Yeah. So now, what is it saying here? It's saying that, okay, in the nights of the fasting, it's even prescribing. So now associate with them, okay? Spend time with your spouse in the nights of Ramadan, because they were cutting off at that time, okay? So see what Allah Ta'ala has ordered for you to eat and drink, as you know, until the white thread of dawn appears to you distinct from the black, okay? So the point being that, that some people were extending the fasting part far too long. Okay. And as you and I know, there's the narrations of some companions who decided they're going to fast all day and pray all night. And what did the Prophet, peace be upon him, tell them? He said, don't do this. Your body has rights over you, your family has rights over you, so forth and so on, and you must fulfill the rights of each other. Good. Okay. When you are in itikaf, however, then you keep separate. These are the limits set by Allah. Do not approach near them. Allah makes things clear. So that, I like the last sentence in this translation. Thus does Allah make clear His signs to men that they may learn self-restraint. In Arabic, so that they may learn taqwa. Okay. Again, it's taqwa. Okay. Now, وَلَا تَأْكُلُوا أَمْوَالَكُمْ بَيْنَكُمْ بِالْبَاطِلِ. So do not eat up your wealth. Okay. With the basic translation is with false things or fake things. What could this mean? Do not eat up your property among yourselves for vanities. Let's see if we find a simpler English translation. Oops. Do not eat up each other's properties. Yeah, that also works. But do not eat up your property by false means. What is it saying? Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, absolutely. Sharing is caring, right? Yeah, that's this translation. So this is wala ta'kulu. So do not eat amwalukum, your wealth, bainakum, with each other. So you can read this as don't eat up all your wealth and don't eat up each other's wealth. Yeah. So what is this also saying? That make your wealth something productive. If you're eating, you're just consuming. Apply your wealth to be something beneficial. Everything. Yeah. I mean, generally, mal will be more money-oriented, but it's not limited to that. Yeah. Good. So, what are we understanding here? That in terms of wealth, we've spoken a little bit before, that when you're going to die, that you should have, I'm doing this too long, okay, that you should set up your wasiyah, you should set up your inheritance, okay. But when you are alive, when you're living, make use of your wealth and bring benefit from it. Okay. Bring benefit to yourself, bring benefit to others. Okay. But don't take it to the opposite extreme. What is the opposite extreme? Let's see. وَتُدْلُوا بِهَا إِلَى الْحُكَّامِ. Now, we're saying use your wealth to benefit yourself, but don't cross the boundaries by trying to bribe judges. All of you already understand. So if we already understand this, why do we need to say this? That you should not bribe judges with your wealth. Yeah, it still has to be a law. If you go to so many Muslim countries, and even our system, our court system, it's still the same thing. Meaning, when you have wealth in society, when you have some people who are the haves and others who are the have-nots, it's almost a guarantee this is going to happen. It's almost a guarantee that the judges are going to be used. Good. And so this has to become the law. Tell me, why does it make sense to talk about this right after talking about fasting? So zakat, we often address during Ramadan. What else? Why is it important for us to speak about control of proper use and control of your wealth right after talking about fasting? So zakat is one of them. What else? Because Ramadan is the month where we're focusing on self-control, right? So all the rest of your self-control is going to connect with that. Good. So Ramadan is when we say even what is halal is haram for us in the daytime. And so we are being very, very conscious. So the first thing to be conscious about is with your wealth. Okay. After your heart, of course. Okay. Let's see. So do not approach it with authorities to eat up other people's wealth knowingly. Okay. Now, the next fun discussion of our Chicagoland Ummah. Okay, yes, alunaka. So again, another question. In Surah Al-Baqarah, there are about 13 times when people ask questions. Yes, alunaka anil ahilla. Okay, so they ask you about the hilal, the new moons. This is a good time to have a fun discussion, right? In preparation for what's going to happen in about a month, inshallah. Okay. Okay. So let's take this piece by piece. قُلْ هِيَ مَوَاقِيتُ لِلنَّاسِ وَالْحَجِّ. So they are basically giving time, setting the time for people, and it's also telling us when is Hajj. Okay. And then we're going to talk about the rest of the ayah in a moment. Okay. So, how should our calendar work? Should our calendar be based on moon sighting, or should our calendar be based on calculations? What do you think? Okay. 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 Okay, so you're saying we should look for the moon sighting, right? I don't think she was listening. Okay. 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 Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I don't know, I'm neutral about it.
Okay. Yeah. You're making sure because it's on camera you're neutral and, you know. Okay.
I don't care because it's more important is,
Okay.
whoever is designated to do that, I do trust their judgment.
Okay.
I don't know their intentions.
Okay.
They're not their own people.
Okay, so if they do calculations, you're fine. If they do citing, you're fine. Okay.
They have heard both sides.
Okay, so we have a couple people on side of calculations.
I mean, some are pick up is up to them.
Okay.
They say we'll do it. I mean, if they want to take the responsibility, but calculation we will put more correct.
Okay.
But and it's, I mean, that time was a different time.
Okay. Okay.
And sunnahs, I got all the other sunnahs.
Okay, so we're not following the other sunnahs, why follow this sunnah? Yeah. Okay. 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 Yes, sir.
I got fasting, we ran the clock and recited the prayer.
Okay. 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 Okay, you lost me at the PowerPoint point. Okay. Okay. We have this recorded now on international internet and everything. Whatever. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay, sir. And then Dr. Azhar.
Because his fatwas are very easy fatwas,
Okay. Okay.
I wish it was as clear cut as I thought it was 3 or 4 years ago.
Okay.
Up to that point, I had not heard a scholar in the United States who was qualified there, up until that point, endorse calculation.
Okay, you're saying,
That's me personally.
so,
The scholars that I knew were qualified, were trained, and not a single one of them had done that. Recently, I read a fatwa by Sheikh Ali Jama, which I verified with somebody who actually knows it.
Okay.
He was the Grand Mufti of Egypt.
so Grand Mufti of Egypt says what?
And he endorsed it.
He endorsed
So, calculation.
calculations. Big news. And then no longer is he the Grand Mufti. Okay, no. No cause or effect relationship. Yeah.
The MCC had a consensus vote about the issue.
Okay.
And let's say the ijma came back strongly in terms of calculation.
Okay.
Yet from my point of view, almost every scholar that I personally know came on the side of moon sighting.
Okay.
The consensus can't be wrong, right, at that point.
So which consensus? Scholars
No,
or the people?
The consensus of the ijma of the community.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's a really convoluted issue, but people like us should be discussing.
Okay. Well, that's
I mean,
in this class we discuss everything.
People were knowledgeable
Okay.
amongst the issue. And the interesting thing with the Grand Mufti of Egypt was he acknowledged the fact that a lot of people still held the calculation.
Mm-hmm.
And usually he'll say...
He acknowledged a lot of people held to calculation, a lot of people held to sighting.
Held to sighting.
Okay.
But he sort of, and normally he'll say, that's their variances are what I believe. In this case, he sort of dismissed them.
Okay.
And that's, I mean, he's obviously somebody who's a relatively high caliber.
Okay, so in simple English, you're saying that Mufti Ali Juma is basically saying calculation is fine,
This is what I read.
as far as you understand. Yeah. Muhammad, you're making a point. Oh, I'm sorry. No, you're making a point. Yes.
No, I was just saying that how many of us do this, that eat and drink until the white thread of dawn becomes distinct from the black?
I think we continuously until. No.
I mean, most of the time we have a printed...
I see what you're saying. Okay.
And
Okay.
we look at it, how many times do we go out and say,
Okay.
oh, now I can start cooking or something
Okay.
like that. So why so much emphasis on just the eat day
Okay.
that we have to follow the moon? I
Okay.
just don't understand that.
Okay, so the.
Prayers 5 times. None of us, we look at our watches or, whatever,
Okay.
our phones.
Okay. So.
This sounds like really stupid that
Okay.
not following the Quran, but yet the Sunnah comes as a second step.
Okay.
We're emphasizing on the Sunnah, but how many of us do this?
Okay, so the first part of what you're saying is that it doesn't seem consistent for everything else. We're looking at a clock, but for Eid we have to look at the moon. Okay, you lost me at the Sunnah part.
No, I'm just saying that people say, oh, we have to do it by moon sighting because it's the Sunnah.
Okay.
And I'm saying at that time, Rasulullah said that because of we don't know the calculation at this point, we'll look at whatever
Okay.
method we have.
Okay.
That was the moon sighting.
Okay.
And now he was one of those who used the most.
So you're saying if the Prophet peace be upon him was alive today, he would use his iPhone. That's what you're saying? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Believe that.
Okay.
Because that's what he did with Khandaq also. That he
Okay.
listened to the Sahabi, Salman Farsi, that let's dig a, this is, sounds like a brilliant idea. Why don't we go with that? So I think he would.
Let's dig the trenches.
Yes.
Okay. Okay.
So I think he would go with whatever is the best technology or whatever.
Okay.
The best method is whatever will take the long.
Okay. Okay. Muhammad and Kesar. Yeah.
I argue citing because can't completely predict moon phases with 100% accuracy.
Okay.
Like you can with solar prayer timings.
Okay.
The solar prayer calendar, every year the timings are the same each time of the month.
Okay. So you're saying that the calculations we have, as far as you know, are not that precise.
I mean, they are precise, but not 100%.
So not 100% accuracy. Okay. Okay. Kesar, you're making another point?
Just in response to what was said earlier, that there are a number of scholars who support moon sightings who actually calculate out, for example, the time of Usr, where they'll go out and look for the time of the dawn as much as they can to the weather. And when they can't, they'll sort of have a little safety factor. So a lot of those people don't rely on calculations or computer timings or that kind of thing. I mean, I'm talking about scholars. Sheikh Hamza Yusuf is the one that specifically comes to mind.
Okay.
And he's very strongly in support of moon sighting. Secondly, about 700 years ago, sorry, not to belong your point, but about 700 years ago, they came to about as accurate as we've gotten now as far as predicting the birth of the new moon. But the people who refute using that will, I think, cite this ayah saying that you have to see it as a visual.
There's a different ayah that says about seeing.
The new moon is not necessarily when you can see the crescent. And we kind of all know that it's 6 to 8 hours after the birth of the new moon under ideal conditions. So it's a visual sighting, and I'm not saying that's more than necessarily. I'm just saying this is what I've read. It's a visual sighting. It's an act of ibadah to have that. The other issue was that people were saying that, well, we have an age of calculation. A lot of people will say, well, the problem is we are trying to mold what Allah wants to.
Okay.
Convenience and schedules because we don't want to take 2 days off at work.
Okay, so you're saying basically,
I agree with that. I'm just saying that.
okay, that the criticism people give is that we're just trying to fit the deen into our lives rather than fit our lives into the deen.
I've heard that argument made.
You see, or so you have heard. Okay, yes.
Another thing, when I see inside the issue, we depend on today's technology anyway.
Okay.
Because we don't go by whether the moon sighted in Chicago or not.
Okay.
Whether it's fast or not fast. Please sit down here for hours and hours waiting through the phone in California, which is 2-3 hours time difference, or
Okay.
other part of the country, and that's where the whole problem starts.
Okay.
I don't know if you have ever sat.
I've sat enough masjid meetings. I understand how masjid meetings work. Yeah.
You know somebody, and the way, like, then again when call comes, the fitna investigation, who saw it, witnesses, blah blah.
Mm-hmm.
All is telephone.
Okay.
So if there's no telephone, then okay, Chicago.
Okay.
Tomorrow.
Okay.
So I think I will go along with that.
So we're using technology for everything, and so we should use technology for the moon sighting. Okay. Or for the moon calculation.
We didn't say it fine.
Okay.
That's all California,
Okay.
nothing.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so you got another point?
I'm sorry, I was going to say, it's based on the Mutla, and the Mutla is whatever area within an area that they determine you can carry that. Yeah, so
Mhm.
it's relevant. So I think the North American people, what they're saying, say, Mutla is sort of the mainland U.S., North America, Mecca, and then parts of the Caribbean.
Okay.
And then they lose that. But in the old days, you couldn't message that far. So they'd have a different Eid in Medina and a different Eid in Makkah because the message could.
But it's not temper the old days.
Okay.
And you're talking about old days, that's still the old days.
Okay.
So when we say that
Yeah.
you're a Ummah, then why are you just restricting it to U.S.?
Well, I don't understand this question.
No, I mean, you're saying that when you do the moon sighting, you say wherever you can see in the U.S., that's the criteria. Who sets those criteria?
Mutla, and whoever the big people are.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. So why?
I think Muhammad Asad also. I think Muhammad Asad also agrees with that.
I do not follow anybody's blind.
Okay. Okay.
But some of his points
Okay.
make sense.
Okay.
I don't think Muhammad Asad or anybody for that matter, even my husband would take me to Jannah.
Okay.
In the end, I have to make the decision.
Okay.
And then do whatever I think is
Okay.
I know that's what it
Okay.
is.
Okay, so let's take a vote once again. How many people support calculations? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many people support citing? 1. So this coming Ramadan, do you support citing or do you support calculations? 1, 2. You support citing? Okay. No one else? So it looks like the calculations win. I mean, the basic answer is look at what your local masjid does and let them deal with the headache. Okay. Now,
What is your understanding?
you want my understanding? I don't think you're ready for my understanding. I support citing. I support citing. I used to support calculations. Now I support citing. I used to support calculations. Now I support citing. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Yeah, I'm learning too much, and therefore, yeah. I see citing also as an act of ibadah. Right? So.
You can look at the moon, but don't say that.
Okay.
Then why there's a clear ayat about when it comes to school, you see the black and white.
Okay. So here, in terms of prayer time and suhoor time, that's not related to the moon. So for the moon, it says, the actual ayah says to look when you see the moon, right? For the prayer time, it talks about where the sun is, right? Or where the shadows are. And their calculations are fine, right? Do you see what I'm saying? That is two different types of ayahs, right? If we get into the actual technicalities of the ayahs, The ayahs that speak about the month use a different language. Right? Yeah, ruined everybody's day, didn't I? No, but the bigger answer is I say follow whatever your masjid says. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I think that misconception of fasting from sunrise to sunset occur. I mean, we all know it's from dawn until sunset.
Mhm.
But if you look at a lot of books that are, they usually say sunrise to sunset. How did that occur?
I think so. The question is, why do so many of these books say sunrise to sunset as opposed to dawn and such? I think it's just people are being very simple with the language, right? What would be the exact word? Sun up to sundown? Sorry? Is that what dusk is? I don't think what dusk is, and I don't think that's what dawn is either, right? So when does the fast begin? Well, I mean, that's what the ayah is, right? And so for simplicity, people say sunrise to sunset. Commonly, if I'm giving a talk to non-Muslims, I'll say sunrise to sunset out of simplicity, right? Sun up to sundown, dawn to dusk, all those things. I'll use all that language, which is not very precise. There. I mean, no, I think it depends on the audience, right? If it's a fiqh discussion, I don't understand the question.
Shall we do sunrise to sunset, dawn to dusk?
I'm saying for just common language, all of us already understand. So sunrise to sunset is fine, right? Or like if this was okay, the fiqh of fasting, then I wouldn't say sunrise to sunset, right? That when the light of the sun first appears, right? But for common conversation, sunrise, sunset, dawn to dusk, sun up to sundown, all those things. Yeah, it depends on the nature of the conversation. You know. Good. Okay, next point in the ayah. It is وَلَيْسَ الْبِرُّ. It is not righteousness that you enter your houses from the backs. Okay, but righteousness is that you have taqwa. What's the story here? So it was a common practice, and it's still a common practice in many places, that when you enter your house from the back. Why? And when you have guests, you have them enter from the back. Why? Because there was a fear of envy, that if you see all the greatness of their house, which is usually the living room, right? That's where the nicest room in your house, versus the kitchen. I mean, even our kitchens now are like palaces, but you have them walk through the kitchen to see all the pour, all the mess, and then they enter, and so it's less likely for envy. Okay? And here it's saying, no, you enter from the front of the house. That's the proper way. Okay? So the point here is that a lot of times people then develop superstition to protect themselves from envy of other people. Okay? So what do you think? Does this mean that every time we go home now, all of us have to enter our house from the front? What if the garage is connected to the side or the back? What do you have to do? No, you enter from whatever house. I'm sorry?
Just don't invite your friends.
Yeah, just don't have any friends, basically. Then all the problem is solved. Right. No, so the point to take is do not make this an issue of superstition. Okay? That you enter from the front, from the back, from the side. The best is still enter from the front, but most of our houses, if you have an attached garage, you're going to go right into the garage and into the side or the back of the house. So, but the real concern, how do we know this is about envy? Because it says the real attitude is to have taqwa, meaning your consciousness should be of Allah. Your consciousness should not be of superstitions. Okay? So come to the house through the proper doors and have taqwa of Allah so that you may be successful. Far away.
What is the first part of that? I haven't heard the second part of my word.
Yeah. There's one answer that's probably like, how do I describe it? Yeah. It's there is a relationship that's given here. Here, I'll put it to you like this. You can look this up yourself. Go to if you open up Tariq Ramadan's book, Islam, the West, and the Challenges of Modernity. Open up in the preface at the beginning. He explains the relationship. Good. Tariq Ramadan's book. Yeah, there is a very clear relationship in terms of the metaphors that are here. Yeah, that for various reasons I'm embarrassed to talk about. Okay, now, next fun subject. وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Okay, and in fact, I shouldn't even say that because it's going to be on the internet and someone's going to clip that one sentence. Okay. So here come some of the ayahs that we have much, much more difficulty dealing with. Fight in the way of Allah against those who fight you. Okay. And do not cross the boundaries. Verily, Allah does not like those who cross the boundaries. So, one of the things that we especially have to be concerned about is somebody is feeding this ayah specifically to young people right now. Okay. We've talked before about this issue, that somebody is approaching these young people, and essentially they're often FBI informants, telling them you have to go for jihad, you have to go for qital, this and that. And one of the arguments they're giving is that, look, it's right in this surah. Okay. So what answer do we give? Okay.
Because you are taking it out of context.
Okay, so let's take 190, 191, 192, 193 together. It's too small. Very sorry. Okay. So first, 190. وَقَاتِلُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Fight in the way of Allah. الَّذِينَ يُقَاتِلُونَكُمْ. Those who fight you. Okay. وَلَا تَعْتَدُوا. إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يُحِبُّ الْمُعْتَدِينَ. So do not cross the boundaries. Allah does not love those who cross the boundaries. So what's the first principle here? You are being fought first. Okay. And then you cannot cross boundaries. Next one. Okay. وَاقْتُلُوهُمْ حَيْثُ ثَقِفْتُمُوهُمْ. So fight them, kill them, wherever you find them. Okay. وَأَخْرِجُوهُمْ. Drive them out. What's the principle here? مِنْ حَيْثُ أَخْرَجُوهُمْ. Where they have driven you out. Okay. Again, they've attacked you first. They have pushed you out first. Okay. And then here's this interesting ayah, which we're going to come back to. وَالْفِتْنَةُ أَشَدُّ مِنَ الْقَتْلِ. Okay. Fitna is worst, is more of an extreme than qatl, than fighting. Okay, that we're going to come back to in a moment. Okay. And then more principles. وَلَا تُقَاتِلُوهُمْ عِنْدَ الْمَسْجِدِ الْحَرَامِ. Do not fight them in the haram. Okay. حَتَّى يُقَاتِلُوكُمْ فِيهِ. Until they fight you there. Again, you cannot initiate the hostility. If they're fighting you, then you have this permission. فَإِنْ قَاتَلُوكُمْ فَاقْتُلُوهُمْ. So, if they fight you, then you fight them. كَذَلِكَ جَزَاءُ الْكَافِرِينَ. How do you like that language? That's the reward of the kafirs. 192. Where is this? فَإِنْ انْتَهَا فَإِنْ اللَّهَ غَفُورٌ رَحِيمٌ. So if they relent, if they step back, meaning if they stop fighting, Allah is forgiving. Okay. And then 193, وَقَاتِلُوهُمْ حَتَّى لَا تَكُونَ فِتْنَةً. And fight them until there is no more fitna. وَيَكُونَ الدِّينُ لِلَّهِ. And deen is for Allah. فَإِنْ انْتَهَوْا, sorry, I have trouble pronouncing this, فَلَا عُدْوَانَ إِلَىٰ عَلَى الظَّالِمِينَ. And if they step back, meaning if they stop fighting, then you are not allowed to fight except for those people who are crossing boundaries. So, one by one, what are the principles? First principle is, if they fight you, then you fight them. You cannot initiate. Okay? And when it says, okay, do not cross boundaries, what are we saying? There's other rules that you cannot cross. What are some of the other rules you cannot cross? Women and children who are not part of the battle, you cannot fight them. What if they're children who are part of the battle? Can you fight them? Or what if people are being used as human shields? Can you fight them? I don't have an answer for all that, but these are some of the things in modern warfare that you find. Okay. Can't cut down trees. You can't use fire as a weapon. Okay. And even there's a question, can you use, these other larger weapons? Okay. So when did Muslim empires start using cannons? How long ago? So think of these big cannons. Ottomans. So probably about 500 years ago. Correct. Those are also a big question because there's no aim. There's very minimal aim, and it goes and it just blasts through. Right. So the point is that you have very strict rules. Then, if they are fighting you, you have to take the fight to its completion. Okay. Why? What's the problem? What does it mean fitna is worse than qatl? Fitna is worse than killing. What do you think? I'm sorry? So this is part of the problem. So if there is essentially what we'd call sedition, then, and it's causing chaos in society, chaos, what happens with chaos? It's going to spread. Right? You have to stop the chaos. A central important issue in Sharia is stability. Okay. For us, living in this modern nation-state issue, state and society, this is not going to be a concern for us. Inshallah, like nothing's going to change in terms of government structure like that. Meaning, this is stable. But this is a concern in many other parts of the world. Okay. Do not fight them near Masjid al-Haram unless they fight you there, and if you do, fight them back. But here's the key at the end. If they stop, you have to stop. So what are we saying here? If they fight you, you have permission to fight them. Right? This was the conversation that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, had for Badr. Okay? Should we fight them? These are the ayahs. Also ayahs in Surah Al-Hajj. We have permission to fight. This is not an obligation. This is a permission. Should we fight or not? They decided to fight. Okay? But if the other side is seeking peace, you have to seek peace. That is an obligation. Okay? If they are seeking peace and you think they're trying to trick you, you still have to seek peace. Okay? Still, you have to seek peace. Yeah. So the point is, our obligation is you have to seek peace. You have permission in those cases to fight, but if they decide to seek peace, you have to seek peace. You can't say, okay, they're lying, keep fighting. Even if you're on the verge of winning. Mm-hmm. Okay, so keep this point in mind. Again, like I said, a lot of young people somebody somewhere is preaching these things to a lot of young people. And when you mix this with their youthful anger, it's creating a big mess. Like this one kid who got arrested because he wanted to blow up the Chicago Cubs stadium. He just got, 23 years in prison or something. Yeah, he just got sentenced, I think, today or yesterday. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, some of these kids, I think, also should not be falling for these things, but... Okay, so much of this fight is continuing for a while, or this discussion on fighting. الشهر حرام بالشهر حرام والحرمات قصاص. So, same thing. The concern was, okay, are we allowed to fight in the holy month? When was Badr? What month? It's in Ramadan. Ramadan, at the time of the Qur'an, was the month you're not allowed to fight. So that was one of the concerns. And no, the fitna is worse. Okay. So, فَمَنْ اعْتَدَى عَلَيْكُمْ فَاعْتَدُوا عَلَيْهِ بِمِثْلِ مَا اعْتَدَى عَلَيْكُمْ. So if they're being aggressive with you, then you have permission to be aggressive against them in the same way. Okay. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ. Have taqwa of Allah. And وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. And know that Allah is with the people of taqwa. Why is it important to talk about taqwa when we were talking about battle? Why? Well, it applies to everything, but why is it especially important? Because, meaning at the end of this ayah, it's mentioned twice. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهِ وَاعْلَمُوا أَنَّ اللَّهَ مَعَ الْمُتَّقِينَ. So right there in the very last sentence, taqwa is even mentioned twice. That war is one of those things where it's easy to lose complete control. Right? that when you're in battle, it's easy to forget all the rules. You know? Has anyone here ever been in battle? Anybody? I don't know. So, sorry? Yeah, with your teenage child. So you have to remember to have taqwa. Yeah. I don't know if you want to hear what your husband just said, but you can probably figure it out now that I pointed out. Okay. Okay. I think Kaser is getting concerned about like the population that his wife is joining here. The women's team. Okay. وَانْفِقُوا فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ. Spend in the way of Allah. A long time ago we defined infaq. Here it's translated as spend. Anybody remember what the definition is of infaq? Spend to the point of exhaustion. That's what infaq is. Okay. Give to the point of exhaustion. But وَلَا تُلْقُوا بِأَيْدِيَكُمْ إِلَى